Good morning. My name is Chris Roose, and I was invited to talk about that big topic, school security and safety. We all know that. For your information, I've worked with the international school community for about 13 years, from the MACE organization to IRCOS to NISA to the Tri-Association. My older boy graduated from the American School of Madrid, my younger one from the American School of Kuwait. I visited numerous campuses, and I've reviewed dozens and dozens of emergency plans. So I have a little bit of understanding of the international schools community. We all know that the vast majority of emergencies and emergency circumstances happen unannounced and with little time to plan. That's why it's important for us to understand our roles and responsibilities before the event. It's equally important for us to understand when the situations change and the situation is becoming dangerous. We can all imagine back to sitting in a school and we see that student step up on that wobbly chair. We're looking up over the desk. Now, is the student going to fall? We're going to plan our response, get down from the chair. Or, depending on the student, maybe we're going to let him fall and learn a lesson. Now, we've looked at the emergency circumstances and planned our response. Maybe it's just asking the student to step down, maybe it's demanding them to step down, or maybe it's getting up and running over and helping the student down from the chair. So we knew immediately what was going to happen. We planned our response, we knew what was going to happen, and we executed it. We saw danger as it was occurring, the situation was changing, and we responded accordingly. So when we look at those circumstances, we think about those in emergency situations. Now let's think in our school, and what are our emergency plans? What, fire? We all practice fire, right? How many of you participated in fire drill, right? Raise your hand. Okay. Put your hands down. How many could do the fire drill in their sleep, right? Okay, that's good. Okay, now what if Peter in the back pulled the fire alarm right now? Let's be honest. How many of you would want to lead the fire drill out of this building, right? Okay, are we ready? We've got it down so much that we're ready to take charge and move out. Those are the type of responses we want to be ready for as we look at our emergency situation in our schools. When we look at some situations in the past, we can think back about 11 years ago. You may remember in India there was a school fire. The school fire started in the kitchen. It caught into the roof of the wood building. It moved across the building very quickly. At the end of the fire, there were 90 children that perished in the fire. Very tragic. Some of you may remember it. When the police and the fire department came in and investigated, what they found is the 23 teachers all survived. They all survived because they left their children. They didn't know what to do, they didn't have a planned response, and they didn't execute the response. So remember, it's very important to think about what's going to happen during emergency, know what our roles and responsibilities are. There was a school in North Africa that I was visiting, and I was talking to the security guards and the maintenance staff that worked on the exterior of the building. I asked each one a series of questions. I said, what would you do in this circumstance? What would you do in that circumstance? One of the questions, what would you do in a fire? Each one of the security guards told me, I'd run to the fire and I'd put the fire out. Oh, okay, wow, that's very nice. Went to the next security guard that opens the front gate with the key. What would you do in the fire? I'm going to run to the fire and put the fire out. Oh, wow, that's great, yeah. Go to the back gate security guard. What are you going to do if there's a fire? I'm going to run to the fire and put the fire out. I'm like, wow, okay. Talk to the maintenance staff. What are you going to do in a fire? I'm going to run to the fire and put the fire out. So later at the end of the visit, I sat down with the headmaster and I said, do you understand everyone with keys to the exterior of the compound is going to run to the fire and no one's going to be able to open the gate? They had focused on the staff so hard that the fire have to put the fire out. They didn't understand their individual roles and responsibilities and the bigger plan for the school. They immediately fixed that. So when we look at that, that's very important to understand not only what our roles are, our teachers' roles, our educator roles, but also our support staff out there. It's important for all in our organizations to understand our roles and responsibilities, and it's paramount for the security of our children, the protection of our children. Inside our organization, there's a wide variety of measures that your organization has to protect your children, from hiring processes all the way to training, drills, and educational programs. It's very important. What are our challenges out there? Our challenges are balancing the security with reality, right? We want to make sure that we have time to actually teach our children, so we want to make sure we have that balance. We don't want to always be doing drills and exercises. We want to make sure that we have time to plan our events, and figure out what the most important things are on our list of concerns and exercise those things. If we think fire is our top concern, which maybe it is, we want to make sure we have it down so that we can do it in our sleep. We want to make sure we find the time to do those things before the event. What's your responsibility? To understand your roles and responsibilities during the emergency, to understand what your school's responsibility is in response during an emergency, And if you have any concerns or questions, make sure that you ask. Ask what your roles and responsibility are. Thank you for your time.